Earlier in this series, we talked about the standard of Educate, the standard that we expect the sales reps going through this program to uphold now having gone through this training. Today, I want to talk about a standard you should uphold for yourself, specifically the standard that prospects should uphold when they're on sales calls with you. I have taken many thousands of sales calls and recognized instantly if someone is not in a place where they're taking this call seriously. I know exactly what to look for, and in my experience, I've still made the mistake of still trying to close those people. And then after, of course, not closing them, thinking to myself, why did I do that? Draining my energy and seeing me off so that on my next calls, I was, if anything, less sharp and less ready. I don't want you guys to make those same mistakes. I want to make sure that you respect yourself enough to hold your prospects to a standard, the standard of taking the call as seriously as you are. Today, we're going to go over how to instantly tell if someone is taking that standard seriously and coming to the call with the respect that you are. And if they're not, I want you to reschedule or cancel those calls. I want you to tell people, hey, this isn't going to happen. I want today for you to understand the standard that you have to uphold for yourself so you can play the long game of sales without being pissed off at missing opportunities that you should have never taken in the first place. Today is going to be more serious. It's about a standard for yourself. It's going to be short and sweet. This isn't a long one. I've said that in every video of Phase 5 because in truth, these shouldn't be long lessons. These are simple concepts. I might elaborate them more than I should. I might elaborate on them probably more than I should, but I want you guys to comprehend them. Today, we're going over the standard for yourself. We're going to go over what factors to look for to make sure people don't abuse your time. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spicy. Let's dive in. Let's roll intro. One of my first sales reps ever in the online space was named Owen. He was a great sales rep, been doing this for probably 2 decades, knew what he was doing, solid dude. This is from my marketing agency. And we would do call reviews Monday through Friday. And so it was his time for a call. And he said, can I throw one just for fun? Just one to laugh at. And I said, sure, keeping the meeting light. And he pulls up the call and he fast forwards to like the 4-minute mark. And he's talking to this real estate agent, this lady. And she gets up and she moves to a different room. She was on a couch and she walks and she moves to a different room and she sits down and all you see is white behind her. So, just a normal wall behind her. And Owen's speaking and asking questions, or he might be even at this point kind of like setting the agenda, whatever he's doing. She's muted and she's smiling and she puts a hand up and gives a thumbs up when he asks something. So he keeps going and you see her get up and turn around and walk out of the room. But as she walks out of the room, you see a shower curtain behind her. She was in the bathroom. She was sitting down in the bathroom. And so Owen sees it and is taken back for a second. I think he's been doing this for 20 something years at this time. And I personally have never had that happen to me. He hasn't either, to my knowledge. This is his first. And so he stops what he's saying and he looks at the camera. He's like, I'm sorry, were you just using the restroom? And I'm still amazed at how honest she was. She says, I'm sorry, I just really had to go. And she took a wee while speaking to Owen on a sales call with video on. That's not respecting the sales rep you're talking to or the process or the conversation at all. You wouldn't do that if you were talking to your boss. And so Owen did the right thing. He said, I'm sorry, I wish you the best, but this isn't gonna work out. And he got off the call. Imagine how little you would have to respect yourself to try to sell to that person still. Now that is quite an extreme case. I don't think you'll have that happening to you. I hope you don't have that happening to you in your sales calls. But there are less extreme cases that really at the same time are still coming across with the same lack of respect toward the process. And we have to be able to recognize what those are. So this is going to be just a couple scattered things to look out for on how to know when someone's not taking a call seriously. Things that I tell my sales reps, if you ever come across this, don't take the sales call. Reschedule it or cancel it, but it means they're coming without any kind of actual respect toward the process. The first one is on Zoom sales when people come and don't turn their camera on for invalid reason. If someone says, I'm sorry, my camera isn't working, I tried to set it up, I can set it up on my phone, but you said be on a computer, and so I just want to be able to see screen share, but if you want, I can log on my phone instead. If someone says something like that, or in other cases, I remember in the 2020 lockdowns, an agent had a kiddo who now is at home. And so she said, I'm sorry, we have 2 computers, only one has a functioning webcam and they're using it for school. And so I don't have a webcam right now. And things like that are different. But if someone comes to a Zoom sales call and doesn't turn their camera on, if they're like, I'm sorry, it's just too early in the morning, or I just don't look good right now, or any reason outside of I physically cannot do it, or my kid is using the camera that has the webcam, or any reason outside of if they're in the car, if they're not dressed, or if they don't look too good, or if they're Whatever it is, the reason people don't want to turn their Zoom cameras on is because they're not presentable and they're not at a desk and they're not focused on the sales conversation. If you were to have a Zoom date with somebody, or if you were to interview with a company trying to get a job, you would have your camera on and be in, soon time metaphorically, if you will. And if people aren't doing that for you, it's because they don't respect you the same way they would respect an actual conversation that matters to them. And so if they're not respecting the conversation before you even start, don't give it the time of day. I tell my sales reps, if someone doesn't have their Zoom camera on, reschedule the call. I tell my sales reps, if someone turns on their camera and they're on their phone and their phone is like in the kitchen or they're at a restaurant or they're in the car, reschedule the call. No one does business from the dashboard of a car as they're driving. No one can talk about their deepest problems in business or life when they're driving. It just doesn't work that way. They're not respecting the time that they scheduled on your calendar. No one schedules 30 or 45 minutes with a doctor and then blows off the doctor. And in turn, a lot of people won't want to blow you off because if they schedule the appointment, they want to go to it. But what they'll do is they'll blow you off by just not caring, giving them minimal effort, the least amount of effort to say that they actually went to the call because they said they would. But if they're coming with that approach, we're not going to be able to do anything with that. And so having the respect to yourself to say to them, hey, listen, I would love to reschedule this when you can be at a desk. Otherwise, if that's not possible, I would wish you the best. It's just not going to work out. Making sure that the camera is on Zoom is massive. I'm not kidding. I've had sales reps take calls where people don't have their cameras on and then people turn their cameras on and they're in bed. I've had calls where people say they're not going to turn their cameras on because they're about to leave their house in 5 minutes. And so they need to be moving around a little bit. And it's like, why would I take the time to sit down with you for half an hour if you're going to leave and get in the car in 5 minutes? Respect yourself enough to make sure that someone is taking the conversation as seriously as you are. The easiest way to screen for that is just on Zoom sales, making sure that their camera's on, and then if their camera's on, making sure they're in a state to actually take the call. If someone has their camera on, but they're in bed, or if someone has their camera on and they're in a car or anywhere outside of a professional environment, you have to ask yourself, are they taking this as seriously as me? And if you're at a desk in proper attire, paying attention to them, giving them 100% of your attention, and they're not doing the same for you, they're not giving the same respect to the call as you are. Even if someone's at a desk, if they're at a desk, but they're hunched over, wearing sweatpants, and texting, that's not giving their same respect to the call as you are. If someone's not giving the same respect to the call as you are, they're not going to do anything. They're just not taking this process seriously. If they're not taking the process seriously, they must not be taking the problem too seriously. And if they're not taking the problem seriously, they're probably not too invested in wanting to solve it. So save yourself the mental energy of investing your time into them. Because trust me, at the end of the call, 30 or 45 minutes later, when you get done and they don't close just like you knew they wouldn't, you had that gut instinct, that gut feeling of, I know this is a waste of time, but you go through it anyway. When you get to the end of those calls, you will hate that you took the time. You will think to yourself, I knew I shouldn't have taken that time with them. Why did I? And what it does is it actually puts you in a bad mental place for your good calls. The prospects where you want to be tip top, you're now in a bad mental place for because you screwed yourself with bad prospects. Then get off the call, reschedule it or cancel it. And again, be okay knowing that you're not going to get walked on for commission checks. Have respect for yourself. Just like with the authority, know that we're not going to get walked on for commission checks. Know that they need us more than we need them. And if they're not going to respect the process, then we won't either. We'll just get off the call. This point, if you're new to sales, won't make much sense. But if you're even just a couple of months in, I promise you, this is going to be something that it makes me passionate for you. It makes me passionate for you to make sure that you don't sacrifice your respect for yourself. I know reps that are 5-10 years in that still make this mistake and hate themselves every time they do. For some reason, we think to ourselves, you know what, while they're on the phone, let me just give it my shot. But don't think that way. Have respect for yourself. It plays the long game out because if you do that to people and say like, hey, listen, I'd be more than happy to schedule this for when we're at a desk. Otherwise, I'd wish you the best, but it's not gonna work. You'd be amazed at how many people are like, I am so sorry. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I'll get to a desk. And they get to a desk then and there and you can close them, or they get to a desk the day after and then you can close them there. But you will never close people that are taking calls from bed or driving around or at Chick-fil-A or Burger King. Quick lesson, but important lesson. Have a standard. I hope this helps. I hope that you are like, you know what, dude, I knew this, but I'm glad Paul said it because I didn't think it was okay to do this. I didn't think it was okay to say no to people that were on sales calls with me. Most sales reps don't think it's okay to hold themselves to a certain standard and tell people to fuck off if they're not meeting it. We have to do it with etiquette, of course. We have to be gentlemen. We have to be honorable and say, I would love to take the call if you can get to a desk. Otherwise, it wouldn't work out. Again, holding yourself to a standard. Most sales reps just don't know that it's okay. I'm here to tell you that it is okay. It's okay to do that. You have permission. And if you are on a sales team where people get mad about that, send them my way and I'll put them in check for you. I hope this lesson helps. I will see you in the next one. Until then, happy hunting.